Welcome to the Guide, Not Guru podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Brock. My purpose is to empower women to create authentic, aligned, and abundant lives. After over a decade of mentoring women in business and self-leadership, I found that we don't need to adopt a guru's blueprint. We need guides to help us build our own. So if you're ready to lead and be a work in progress, you've come to the right place. Hey friends. All right. So today I want to talk about 4 ways that you can magnetize more business to you by being more human. And one of the things that I am known for is authenticity, alignment, and abundance in business. And one of the things that I talk about often is how to magnetize, how to attract to you the business that you really want. Like these ideal clients who come in your DMs and are just like, I'm ready to buy today. And you're like, where have you been? This is so amazing. Or the ones who come to you and have been like, where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you. Or the ones who are resonating with your message and they're just waiting for your next offer. Like these are real clients. And this can really happen for your business. But how this gets to come to you is because you've got to be more human online. And something you need to know about me is I am a recovering people pleaser. I am someone who actually didn't even know I was a perfectionist at all. There's type A people, and I've always known I'm not a type A person. I'm high achieving, but type A was someone who needed all the dots to be dotted, the lines to be crossed. I just was never that person. And I read a book that changed my life. It was actually gifted to me, and it's called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. And when I read that and she described who a perfectionist is, I was like, knife in heart, like, oh my gosh, I am so wildly needing to be excellent and good at things because I'm so afraid of being misunderstood. I'm so afraid of, not being liked. I'm so afraid of getting it wrong and feeling what it would feel like to fail or to do it poorly. That's why I feel like I have to be so perfect, is because I want to succeed so bad. And so when I was acting and showing up in my business in that way, I found that a lot of people admired me, but they didn't really know me. And it was funny because when people would get around me in my business, it was very face-to-face. My former business, I spent 10 years in network marketing, and a lot of that was face-to-face. And the way that I presented online was a little bit different, not a little bit, a lot different to the way that they would encounter me. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so much better. You're so different. And I was like, man, how am I coming across online? I was trying to perfect online. And when I started being more of myself, when I started telling the truth about how I really felt, when I started to be Kelly, I started to find women being like, what are you doing and how can I work with you? I had people who were joining my team. They didn't even want to do my business. They just wanted to learn from me. They wanted to be mentored by me because they realized who I was and that they were vibrating in, they were resonating in. So I want to tell you 4 things that I do consistently in my business that I teach my clients, that when they start to apply these principles in their business, like everything changes. And I also want to tell you these principles, you're going to want to apply them over and over and over again, because you want to let the compound effect of them take over. So you may rep these out the first time and be like, I got a little bit of wins, or you might not right away. You've got to kind of turn the tide of your ship. I know that I could change my business today, that I could totally burn this business down and go and create a new thing. And I would have raving fans that will follow me to the other side, to this new business, to whatever it is that I create, because I've built an authentic brand around me. And that means whatever I do next makes sense. That means the people that are following me are following me. They're not following the product, the program, the course, the business that I'm a part of. They're following me. I am such an advocate of building a personal brand. And I'm going to teach you some of the skills that helps you to be your personal brand, to be more human online so that you can magnetize in the clients. And so as you start to evolve and unfold into another version of yourself, or no matter what product or launch or masterclass or thing that you do, people are like, yeah, I'm in. Okay, so the very first tip is you get to start sharing your authentic truth. This one's a little scary, but it's essential and it's number one for a reason, because it's the biggest Band-Aid you're going to have to pull off. When you start talking about the stuff that you're going through, when you start sharing the tip you have to share, the value you have to give, and you start telling the stories about how it's been applied in your life, or the things that you're going through, or, even just your own personal evolution. Gosh, maybe it's things you're learning in parenting, or all of a sudden you will find people will want to talk to you about those things because they are human experience things. When I started to talk about, having postpartum depression, I had women coming out of the woodworks being like, thank you for talking about this. I had no idea you were going through this. Here's what I did when I had it, when I was experiencing this with my kids. And you guys, truth be told, the first time I ever told the truth online that I remember was when I did a live video on Facebook, and I was doing a beauty look for new moms because I was a new mom. And I, at the end, started to talk about my postpartum depression and the things that I was experiencing. And when I got off of this, I was absolutely exhausted. I needed to take a nap. I felt like I wanted to cry and take a nap and like dig a hole, crawl in it, bury myself. I was just like, that was so much. That was too much. I felt so wildly like vulnerable and open. And I remember I actually did take a nap. And I woke up from this nap and I went back to Facebook and I was just like, oh, what is the damage that's been done? And I had a flood of comments on this live video. I had a flood of DMs, all these women saying, hey, I had no idea you were going through this. I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. You've got this. Wow. You make so much more sense now. Or here's what I read. Here's what I did. And all of a sudden I had this incoming flood again of feeling like, oh my gosh, so connected to these women. I was like, this is what it's about. And it is scary to talk about our authentic truth. And I'm not saying to share things that you don't feel ready to share. Our truth gets to be told. I always say, only share things that you're about ankle deep still in with a public crowd. You can share the like throat deep, like I'm about to suffocate things with the right people, the people who have deserved to hear your story, your friends, your family, a therapist, the right things. But like when you really tell your story online, when I started to talk about building my business or leading myself, and I started to tell my own stories, women were like, that's exactly what it feels like for me. Or I started to talk about what it was like when, struggling in my marriage and wanting more and hoping to change him. And here's how it was coming across in our lives. Women were saying, this is exactly what it looks like for me. Thank you. And so if you want to magnetize, magnetism only comes from the heart. It's like an actual biofield that we have. I'm going to geek out on it one day with you all. But there's a real biofield that comes from your heart. It magnetizes people who resonate that same heart connection to you. And so I have found some of the most ideal clients. I'm like, oh, where did you come from? They came as a response to my heart being open to them, to me speaking my authentic truth. And so I'm going to invite you into telling more of your truth, being authentic. Okay. Tip number 2 is to show up in video. At the time that I am recording this podcast, I am also filming it on a camera because I'm going to post it on Instagram and on YouTube and in these other places. I don't know. We'll find out. But when you watch a video of someone, outside of being with someone face to face, knee to knee, toe to toe, in person, the second best option is video. Because if you're watching this on video, you see I'm talking with my hands. You can see my smile on my face. You can get so much more information and feel such a deeper connection to me on camera. And so I always say, if you're going to speak, if you're going to create content, go video first. If you can't do video, go voice next. If you can't do voice, do written word. That's like my hierarchy of magnetism when it comes to bringing content online to people. And so, listen, often in my business, I'm a very intuitive and inspired, creative leader in business. And often super annoying, but I will get inspired ideas when I'm walking, when I'm working out, when I'm not looking my best. And I used to be like, okay, I'm going to wait and like go home, get ready, shower, then I'll be ready to tell this story. Well, by the time I would do all that, the feeling that I was in, that natural, authentic story, that like conviction that I was having in the moment that it dropped in my spirit is gone. That happens often. And so I started to realize I need to talk about it right now. So one of the things I'll teach my clients is how to very quickly get clear on what you need to say so that you can deliver authentically raw right now and it can be, received well. But a lot of times, you guys, I'm sure you feel the exact same way. The thing that comes through is not perfect timing. Like, you do not look perfect. The ring light is on. The makeup is not ready. The outfit is not good. But you're like, if I don't say it now, I'm not going to say it in the way that I want to say it. And so I really recommend bringing that authentic truth, but bringing it in video. So I started to do this. I started to just go live when I was inspired. I started to just, how annoying. I'm just going to share into my stories right now. And this, recovering perfectionist and people pleaser, she did not like that she didn't say it well the first time. She didn't like that she didn't look great. She wanted to do it a million other times. But I just realized I had to rip that Band-Aid and bring it with the raw, authentic truth that I brought it in video. And it's received in that way. People can see you, feel you. There's just such a vibration that connects with your client when they can see you on video. And I'm almost wanting to jump to my third point, but before I make this, video means so much to me. And I realized that when I started to do these things, I had such a significant response from people. I had more DMs and more comments and more shares and more like visibility, more connection, more yeses to my programs because I was someone who's willing to go on video. That I started to do this in my DM process. So every single day, at the end of the day, I would see who were my new followers today. This is a tip you can take and make real in your life right now. I would start to say, okay, who were my new followers? And I started to video message them at the end of the night. And I'd be like, hey, so great to see you. Thank you so much for the follow. I'm so curious. How did you find me? And I'm grateful you did. And I'd love to hear more about you. And so in the beginning, I did this by myself. I would just like literally message every single person. It was so organic. I was able to look at their account and say something to them personally. As I started to scale in my business, I realized I don't have time to do that every single day, but I want to keep this human video connection. So then I recorded with my iPhone, popped it out, and I recorded I would go into my stories, record it, a quick 15-second little story, and I would say that exact same thing. Hey, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the follow. I'm super curious. How did you find me? And I'd love to hear more about who you are. I'd love to meet you. I do my best to make a human connection here, and I can't wait to hear more about you. See how I just kind of stumbled over those words a little bit? I don't even perfect my words. I would take that 15-second clip, and I started to, at the end of the night, instead of, while I'm exhausted, from the day trying to message people, I started to take that same 15-second video, and I saved it as a favorite in my phone, and I would drop that to every single new follower. Well, all these followers were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could do a video on Instagram, or I didn't know that like this was even possible. And they would be like, thank you so much for that. And it made such a deeper connection because they met me. Imagine how you feel when someone writes to you, and imagine how you feel when you actually meet someone. You're like, you see me. You see me. We've all gotten those DMs that's just like such a cold message, and you're just like, you could be great, but your first impression with me was so inauthentic. I don't want it. Whatever you're doing, I can tell this is a boxed message. And so even though I'm duplicating this message, you guys, with my followers, I drop this message and they receive me on video. Now that my business has scaled even more, I've built out a team. I do the best that I can to be in the DMs with people on video, but I now have team members who they care just as much about the new followers, the relationships that I'm building. And so every single day they're dropping the videos for me, or if they're video messaging back, they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from the Kelly Brock Co team. We come as humans. We send video messages as best as possible. And why I think this is super important is because, in this video, I am actually engaging with these people. And it brings me to my next point, which is I want you to know it's a relationship. If you want to magnetize in business, be a freaking human and grow a real relationship. When people come to us in cold messages and they're like, hi, I saw you're an entrepreneur too, and I wanted to pitch you how I can help you find 5,000 more followers by midnight. You're just like, no, so rude, inauthentic, right? It's like, imagine going on a date with someone and being like, hey, so great to meet you. I'm looking to get married. Are you looking to get married too? I was thinking, how about we start talking about our wedding tomorrow? You'd be like, what in the actual world is wrong with you? We just met. I don't even know if I like you. And actually, I'm sure I don't like you now. It's trying to get in bed with someone before you've even had a first kiss. Like, it's too much. And so tip number 3 is to know it's a relationship. You guys, on the other end of these cameras, on the other end of these phones, on the other end of the computers is a real freaking human who wants to be treated like a human. And when you do that, when you slow down to take time to say, hey, I know we're just getting to know each other. Tell me about you. How would you actually act if you went on a coffee date with someone who's new? Like, hey, I know you're in business. I'm in business. Tell me about you. What do you do? How did you get here? Have you always wanted to do this? That's so incredible. So tell me about where you're growing. Like, where are you going? You said you're in business. You've been doing this for a couple of years. Like, tell me about where your business vision is expanding into. I'm so curious. You guys, one of my superpowers is my curiosity. It has been natural in me my whole life. I used to sit at my friend's house and spend the night with them, and they'd all be upstairs, all the girls playing at a slumber party, and I'd be sitting with their parents and being like, so how did you guys meet? What was that like? Did you know that you wanted to marry each other right in the beginning? Like, they'd be like, Kelly, are you coming upstairs? We're playing Jenga, like whatever it was. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm coming. My gifting is that I'm naturally curious about people. And so what I realized was that was not just something natural in me. It was something that could be taught in business. It was my superpower that I've started to teach my clients. And so when you realize this is a relationship, and if I know inevitably we're going to love being together over here in the future, one day, you're either going to buy my product, I'm going to buy yours, or we're going to like freaking love each other and support each other. If that's the end result, either way, do I care how fast that happens? No, I want to take the time so that that's our end product. Because if I try to move too fast with you, if you try to move too fast with me, we feel it's inauthentic. We feel it's inorganic. We are like, it doesn't really feel good. And we don't forget how people make us feel. And so if you're just like, this is an end game, like as far as I can tell you guys, based on this moment in time, I'm going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. I'm going to be running a business. So whether you buy my product I'm launching right now or you buy it in 3 years from now, it's amazing. If you don't buy my product and you share my podcast because you resonated, because you think I'm a good human and you like it, that's amazing too. If we just meet in the DMs and I end up finding out you're someone I needed to refer to someone else, that's a great day too. We have to have such an abundance in our business. Listen to me. If you have big dreams around your business and you know them, you feel them in your gut, you're like, Kelly, they are so big. They make me scared. They make me feel like I'm coming alive. Our dreams, our desires are from God. They are like little tiny glimpses of the future that's going to unfold. They are inevitable. So if I know that the dreams of my success are inevitable, if you know the success that you see for yourself is inevitable, you don't have to rush it. It's happening for you. It's coming. And so I don't need the next person who comes in to be my one, to pay my bills, to sign up for my thing. I don't have to manipulate anyone. And even if I manipulate you, you guys, you can manipulate someone into a sale one time, but they will never buy again. Period. End of story. Literally, they won't. But if I treat you right this time, if I treat you like a human, if I love and respect where you are right now, if I'm curious about who you are, if I'm actually interested in where you're going, if I'm willing to be in a relationship with you, that you will buy from me now. And maybe you don't buy the next things, but you'll buy again. You'll buy on your own timing, and you will always buy out of integrity. And you will feel so good about me again. Even if you don't buy from me, you'll refer me, right? Like I have such an understanding that when we make people feel good, when we understand this is a relationship, it's funny. I've been with my husband since we were 14 and 15. I am such a long game relationship person. It's one of my giftings. It's like, oh, hey, I don't need you to be anywhere other than where you're going to be because I assume we're going long term. Anyway, so when you start to treat the people who are on the other end of that screen in building your business, you become magnetic. They are like, I don't know what it is about this girl, but she's so nice. I don't know what it is about this woman, but she's so authentic. I don't know what it is about her, but like everybody else gives me these lather, rinse, repeat, copy and paste answers in the DMs. And this girl doesn't. Oh my gosh, she actually gave me a video message back. If you're a follower of mine already on Instagram, where I spend most of my time, y'all, to the best of my ability, I try to show up in either video or voice as best as I can. And people are shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, like, thank you for that thoughtful response. As best as I can to my capacity, scaling as a business right now, I try because I think you're important and I want to go long term with you. Whatever that looks like, I think it's going to be great. And so if you can treat your business like that, you will stand out. Because unfortunately, right now, it is the exception. It does make you stand out to take your time. It does make you stand out to care. And so when you treat this like a long-term relationship and you actually freaking act like a human and care, they will feel the difference and they will want to work with you and you will magnetize business. And I have people who come out of nowhere and I'm like, how did you find me? And they're like, my friend told me to follow you. My friend told me I needed to be in your program. My friend told me. It's like people will talk about you. What a gift. Can you even imagine a day when people you don't even know are talking about you or talking about you? And sales just come in and you're like, where did these sales come from? It's because someone else told them about you. And so go long game. Build the relationship. All right, my last little tip to being magnetic, to building a business that magnetizes more business to you by being more human is don't be perfect. I often, even in this podcast, this is my second episode, so let me be honest, there may be some editing. But if you're watching the video, if you're listening to this, you can hear I stumble over my words a little bit. I pause when I'm thinking about things. That's how I am in building my business. So when I respond back to people, when I even have that 15-second clip of this new follower video that I send, I don't make them perfect because the more I try to perfect it, I lose the authentic vibration that it's received in, that it's given in. And so I speak like a me. And when you don't make things perfect, people are like, oh my gosh, she's a human. She's just like me. She stumbled over her words. She uses her hands. She like paused. Oh, good. Her kids are in the background screaming like crazy. People like mine are. And so one of the things that serves me in my business is that I'm massively relatable because I show up authentically. Don't get me wrong, I do love a good filter here and there. I think they're pretty. But I'm me. And it does not mean I can't want to be more excellent. It does not mean that you can't want to better your words. It doesn't mean that I didn't even prepare my words ahead of time. Even in this podcast right now, I've got 5 bullet points in front of me that I'm speaking off of. Like, I thought about what I was going to say. So I'm not saying don't come and give excellence. It is in my nature to want to be excellent and to care about what you're presenting to your clients. That matters. But there is just this next level magnetism connection you make when you are not so filtered, so refined, so practiced, so perfect that you're unrelatable. And that was me in my former, life in business. I was so perfect that I actually didn't seem relatable. It was like, well, I can never do what she does because she's Kelly. And it was like, wait, who do you think that I am? I was coming off so presentation-like that people didn't know, oh my gosh, I have a mess at my house too. Or, oh my gosh, I'm not looking at my finances either. Like, I'm struggling. You are? Like, when I started to tell the truth, people were like, whatever pedestal they had put me on, I came down and became relatable. And by becoming relatable, I actually became worth the investment. Because all of a sudden they saw I am a leader, I am excellent, I'm striving, I'm growing, and I'm also willing to be a work in progress at the same time. So when you bring that lack of perfection, when you bring that wholeness of who you really are, when you show a little bit of the dance of like what it really looks like to be you in your life, it is so relatable. It is so authentic. It draws people in such a way. And so driving those messages home, if you can, speak your authentic truth. And with that one, tip number 1, you're going to open up more and more. You don't have to dive in and tell your TED Talk on your next Instagram Live. You can start to share more of yourself. It's almost like a capacity that opens up. I talk about a lot of things that at one point I would have probably had a nervous breakdown if I was to talk about them. So know that is going to continue to be something you grow your capacity for. But I promise when you tell your own stories, when you speak your own truth, it resonates. And if you can, show up in video, bring yourself, bring all of your inflections and your background and your life circumstances and let people see you. We all desire to be seen, but in order to be seen, we have to be willing to share ourselves. We have to be willing to show ourselves. So show up on camera if you can help it. The third is knowing it's a relationship. It's long game. They matter, you matter. That relationship becomes lifetime worthy. And so by the time I make a sale with a client, by the time you make a sale with that client, you're not just selling to them once. You are getting a sale for a lifetime. And it's so worth it. And the love and the joy and the fulfillment you even feel from receiving the money from that sale is just so good. It's so juicy. You're just like, this is what it was supposed to be like to build a business. It's amazing. And then that fourth one, don't show up perfect. Bring a little bit of your imperfections, show your humanness. I promise it will be something that sets you apart. And people will find themselves saying, I just want to talk to her more, be in her space, get to know her. So the more human you can bring to your business, the more magnetic you will be. I promise. Hey friend, thank you for listening. My goal is to empower as many women as possible. If this episode supported you in any way, I would love it if you'd leave me a review or let me know on Instagram. You can take a screenshot or tag me or just shoot me a DM. If you're looking for any kind of additional support, don't hesitate to reach out. See you here next Tuesday.